Hello, thank you for watching. It's Hamish Patel, mortgage broker, and Miriam Bell, editor for
New Zealand Property Investor magazine.
Yeah, and we're here talking about house prices, and house prices have been kind of flat in Auckland, but outside of Auckland, there is a lot of stuff still happening.
There is. I think around the region, some of the markets are very interesting, and especially if you're an investor, you want to look outside of the bigger cities, then there is interesting stuff going on, yes.
And so some of the places we're just going to quickly look at is Hamilton, Wellington, Palmerston North, Napier, Rotorua, New Plymouth. So let's have a look at Hamilton to begin with.
Okay.
Little bit of growth in the last 12 months in the median price.
There has been.
Probably
Hamilton,
stabilised a bit.
It has stabilised. Hamilton was going gangbusters at one point, sort of following in the footsteps of Auckland, when Auckland was also going for it. But that has levelled off, and the prices have started to stabilise a lot. But there's still an interesting sort of layer of growth going on there that is attractive, I would imagine.
Yeah, and Hamilton, so we're seeing, some of these, this is the kind of top 10 median increases in the last 12 months. The rental yield is not too bad as well, right? About 3.5 to 5%, similar to kind of, at 5%, it's kind of similar to parts of South Auckland.
Yes, and I think if you look at the yields that you can get in Auckland, in some parts, you're looking at 2.5 to 3. So anything above that would be attractive for investors who may be needing to focus more on their returns than gains.
And with the
recently.
Changes coming, ring fencing on tax losses.
Absolutely, with governmental policy changes, particularly in terms of tax, I think it's important for people to think about cash flow positive properties rather than the reverse, which some people have been doing.
So this is Wellington.
Yes.
Capital city.
Wellington.
With about 400,000 people.
Yep, Wellington is an interesting market. That is very strong again at the moment. I mean, you're looking at some strong, almost 10% growth in the last 12 months in some areas of Wellington. Yeah. And it has a very tight rental market as well. So yields 3 to 4%, perhaps not as good as in some of the smaller markets,
yep.
But definitely you'd be doing well to be a landlord, I think, in Wellington, given the supply shortage.
Yeah, I mean, there are some areas that have higher yields, I'm sure, in Wellington. And then I guess when you move out to the smaller towns, so this is, when you start to go down to towns which are kind of less than 100,000 people, mm-hmm. such as Rotorua. This is Rotorua here. It starts to look pretty amazing. 16%, more than 16% in a couple of suburbs.
Yes, Rotorua is known for having good yields in some cities, better than some cities.
Yeah.
Your area. We're back to growth. Sorry.
Yeah, but I mean, sorry.
But yeah, high growth and good yields.
Yeah,
but you'd know Rotorua better than me. It's one of the towns that I'm not as familiar with, but it is known as an affordable city and one that's attractive to investors. There's lifestyle options around Rotorua as well, so I gather the holiday market is strong.
It is, and I mean, just the average kind of rental yields over there as well is quite attractive. You can get a kind of a average, maybe sub-average houses or areas, maybe at about a 7%, 6.5. Well, probably more like 6 to 6.5%, which is pretty good if with those kind of growth in prices as well.
It is.
It's kind of.
Although it is worth noting with the smaller towns that the rate of growth is slowing, and although they're expected to be reasonably strong, still playing catch up to Auckland for the foreseeable future, I suppose. They are expected to level off further as time goes by. So investors need to choose carefully.
They do, and the focus goes more on cash flow.
Yeah.
And this is Palmerston North. Not too bad.
No, Palmerston North is a steady market. I happen to know quite a bit about Palmerston North.
Yep.
The growth rate there has been good of late. It was quite a flat market for a long time, and so now people who have properties there are finally beginning to see growth, which is making them happy. And it's also known for decent yields. You'd be looking at 4 to 6%, probably more. Some investors tell me significantly more. It's an interesting market, which is a steady, reliable one.
Interesting you should. Investors have different ways of working out gross yields. Some actually just focus on what they bought it for.
They do.
I'm a big believer in looking at it at what the current value is, But I mean, if we look at some other towns like New Plymouth, for example, it's probably going to have less of a yield. It's probably more around the 3 to 4% mark, I'm guessing, in terms of rental yield. But the price growth has been okay, actually, not quite over 10%, but still there is some stuff happening. It's probably slowed a little bit as well, kind of similar to Hamilton, do you think?
I think, I'm just trying to think of the latest sort of commentary I've seen around New Plymouth. I wrote something recently which indicated that it is seeing reasonable growth, but it isn't on a par with some of the other smaller cities. Having said that, it's better than most of the big cities, so weighing up your options, it's affordably priced, which is one of the big attractions with New Plymouth.
Yeah, with about 74,000 people. If we go further afield, you've got... Well, actually, before you do it, let's have a look at Napier.
Yes.
Napier is, pretty stellar, actually, in that...
It has been. Napier has been one of the stars in recent sort of market commentary. It's done consistently well in terms of growth for quite some time now, and the yields...
The rental yield,
hugely.
It is amazing.
But they can go up to 7.7.
Yes, 6 to 7% is not too hard to get in Napier, which is brilliant. Really, if your house prices are going up by, looking at this graph, 16%.
Very strongly, definitely.
Hastings, which is not far from Napier. So Napier has got about 62,000 people in there. Hastings around similar, 70,000 people. And only about 20 minutes away. Yes,
so you can I guess get the benefits of both if you have a property in either, and they are both at the moment perceived to be some of the markets that are doing best in the country.
Yeah, and the fact that if you add that up, it's similar to the size of something like Tauranga.
That's true.
You know what I mean? So they're called the Twin Cities, actually.
Are they? I didn't know that. But figures.
Napier has the Art Deco, of course. It's well known for the Art Deco.
Yes, and I guess Hawke's Bay also has wine industry, which nothing to be laughed at.
No, wine is good. Any other thoughts as we... I mean, those are kind of the main smaller towns that we're going to talk about. There is a little bit... Dunedin, actually.
Yeah, Dunedin has been one of the good performers of late. Of the larger cities, it's perceived to be the one that is doing the best at the moment, even better than Wellington. It does have decent yields. Again, I'm just flicking through.
With 120,000 people as well, it is a little bit...
a strong rental market again, but there is a student niche, I guess, to that market, and that may be something that some people are not as keen on. But again, affordable prices and yields sort of 4 to 7% mark.
Yep.
Not a bad deal if you can find something appropriate.
Yeah, and I guess it's interesting because you've recently become the editor for New Zealand Property.
Very recently, yep. But I've been writing for the magazine for some time. And in terms of people looking at regional markets, I feel I should get this out there. We do have a regional review in the magazine every month, looking at a different market in New Zealand, and we do try to, provide all sorts of information in there, from rental yields and prices to economic drivers and what might make the city attractive or the market attractive to investors. So check it out.
Yeah, and if you need funding for some of these small towns, I'm always happy to find money from the banks for you, being a mortgage broker. But yeah, thanks for watching. Thank you for coming in, Miriam.
Thanks for having me on the show.
All good, and we'll catch you later.
Yes, indeed.